All right, the NBA season is almost here, and they're rolling out their schedule and things, and we're excited to talk about it all. Here again, it's your boy G and Alec. Thank y'all for tuning in. Like, rate, review, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff for us. We're excited to get to it. And schedule, there's stuff going on with KD and LeBron we want to get to, stuff with the Lakers going on. There's a bunch of angles we want to dive into that we're here to talk about today. And we thank y'all for joining us. We're going to start with the schedule as it's going to be released this week and just look at all that's going to be on its way. Are you excited for the season, Alec, as we get close to it?
Yeah, definitely excited for it. Still a little ways away. We got some preseason action to get through, and a couple months till we get there. But yeah, I'm excited. We got the schedule releasing tomorrow, as we mentioned. So yeah, always excited for NBA ball.
But very excited for it. And though we are months away, the NBA is a league that always keeps fans entertained, and they roll things out that provides great content as the summer goes along. And we're here, as you just announced, the schedule is going to be released by the time you guys see this, but we already have some days that we can look at here and discuss. They already have announced opening night. Lakers and Nuggets are opening up for first game of the season there, along with the Suns and the Warriors to kick things off. What do you think about those two matchups to kick off the 2023 season, Alec?
Yeah, I think those are two really good matchups, basketball-wise, and then like narrative-wise, built-in narrative-wise. Obviously, you had Lakers and Nuggets as that Western Conference Finals matchup where the Nuggets got the sweep and went on to win the chip. So you had to have the Nuggets on opening night after them win the title, and then
for sure.
Not many better matchups with having the Lakers match up with them. It's a tough game for the Lakers on the road in Denver, night one, but a good test for both teams.
They said no need for a final rematch. Miami, I'll go and stay over there. You're good. We'll get LA instead.
Keeping it West Coast too. But Suns and Warriors, obviously you got CP3. Possibly bench 6-man CP3 on the Warriors.
CP6?
Formerly of the Phoenix Suns. So you got that little maybe there's a little brewing rivalry there potentially too.
Sure.
And the Suns are revamped with their big three now too. So NBA of course wants to have them on display early on in the season. So another fun matchup in Golden State too. Another marquee place to play. So yeah, I think those are two really good matchups to kick it off.
Definitely some good ones. We'll talk about it more as we get closer to it, of course, and we'll have our predictions for it once the season is fully here. But that is opening night. Moving on from there, a more exciting game that folks are going to be tuned into that following Thursday. Tuesday was the games we just discussed. The next 2 days later on Thursday, we'll have two games. We'll have the East finally against some shines you pointed out. The Sixers and Bucks going head to head, and then we'll also get the Suns and Lakers, which is the first matchup of LeBron and KD for the first time in what is it going to be 5 years? I believe it is.
I think it was 2018 the last time. Yep.
Definitely glad to have them finally go head to head. First thoughts on those two matching up finally after so long.
Yeah, KD's been ducking the fade for a few years with that LeBron KD matchup. I'm sure there was maybe once or twice where LeBron was hurt as well too, but
right.
They both have dealt with their injuries for sure. But there was a time, I guess probably around 2018 where they were 1-2 in the league consensus, best players in the league. So it's unfortunate that we haven't been able to see them match up since then, but exciting that we should get it this time around. It's first week of the season, so there shouldn't be any excuse for either of them to be out unless for some reason there's a freak injury, which fingers crossed, hopefully that does not happen either. So it should be good to see these guys who are a couple of the remaining of those 2000s, 2010s elite guys that kind of have marked like our generation of fandom of NBA basketball. Be fun to see them match up in their older age while they're still playing elite level, MVP level basketball. in their own right.
Absolutely. And not only did they mark an era, and that still are marking an era, they marked a big shift in how the NBA carried itself. They were the leaders of the player empowerment movement. We talked a little bit about that last episode. Talking about winning time, actually, we talked a little bit about James Harden, how that tied in with Norm Nixon, talking to the media, all that kind of stuff. But guys who really took control of their own narratives, and as well as took control of how they were displayed on the court. We see KD in that Warriors jersey, which was so highly criticized and talked about. Those moments like that, even LeBron getting the Lakers, being able to control his destiny, end up here in LA, were prime examples of how they took control of their careers and led that player empowerment movement. But we've seen since then with how other players have followed in their footsteps that things potentially could have gone too far. So I asked, did have LeBron and KD's player empowerment push actually hurt the league, and what they did?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good question. I think it made sense, like what LeBron did. People were very mad about it, the way he did it, as far as the decision and the theatrics surrounding it. But it made sense. What did he spend, like 9 years with the Cavs? Before
the first 9, then he had 4 in Miami, then back to Cleveland, then to LA.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they made a finals when he was really young and got beat pretty handedly by the Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like the Cavs struggled to put the pieces around him to really build a championship team.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept running into a wall in Celtics. And so it made sense for LeBron to choose to further his career and kind of take control of his destiny in that way when he did. I don't know that it could have been anticipated, like how other star players would follow suit. And I think KD was the biggest example of that, maybe tipping the scales a little bit too much. So like in a sense, you could, a lot of people blame KD for the player movement now.
Sure.
But you could blame LeBron. I feel like LeBron, the move he made, like made a little bit more sense as far as still having competition like in the league. Like the KD move felt like a Joker kind of, or it's like KD goes to the 73-9 Warriors that are already building a dynasty, and they got the trump card.
Right.
But so yeah, in a sense, you can blame LeBron for hurting the league with the player empowerment push, but really I feel like KD is kind of the one that put it that much more over the edge. Yeah.
Before I respond to you, what does hurt mean?
I think that's a good question too, because hurt, I don't think it necessarily hurt like the brand of the league. Like the brand is still like very strong. People are still very intrigued like by NBA games. People are still tuning in for NBA games. I think it hurt the competition, and it hurt I guess maybe where values lie for some guys. Like there's various factors that go into it, like the rings culture that media and some fans have kind of peddled, that made players like KD want to prioritize winning over all else, whether even if that meant joining the team that beat you, like the goal was winning the ring. So I think, yeah, I'd say it hurt a little bit of the competition, and then it hurt as far as where guys like priorities lied. It was like, we want to just join with our friends and build the best big three possible that we can. Whereas we've seen in recent years, like it's been the 2-star formula with having solid role players around you that has been a little bit more successful. So
to that point, I give some pushback in that I believe that more so like the AAU culture and how guys are developed and players are developed from the ground up kind of plays more of its part to today, and how players are more buddy. They talked about in the past how guys grew up on separate teams and grew up in separate cities and came up and finally came together, and it was clashes. Now guys, even in separate cities, are transfer across the country and joining to go to these powerhouse schools and going to join AAU squads. Everybody Notably, there's squads. Obviously, no, let me not do that and get my card pulled. But there's notable AAU squads where guys will team up and join together, and all of a sudden they're guys that just carry out that unity together throughout all the way up to the league and beyond. So I don't think it's fully on LeBron and them for I guess piggybacking on what was already being set in motion. It's just because they are the biggest faces that it seemed like it was such a major move by them. But beyond that, and what you were saying about the empowerment, I actually don't think it's a bad thing that they did. I think we did need to pull some more of the power out of the owners and the management hands, and realizing that the players are the ones that are bringing in the revenue. The players are the ones that they're not as replaceable as I guess the media and others may make it seem. That these guys truly are stars and deserve to be treated as such, and they want to maneuver in a way that that their star power allows them to. They should really do so. Yes, we have had our jokes and things about some of the moves that they made. LeBron coming to LA, we highly criticized for a plethora of reasons. But as a guy who is that guy who we talk about as the top 2 player of all time, number 1 for some, I ain't trying to start no debate with that. But as a guy who's up there, is that he should be able to say, I'm a guy that sees LA as the mega city. I'm the mega star. We should be able to join and make that tandem work. So things like that, I don't believe were fully negative beyond the jokes and things that we made there. So no, I don't think that KD, that LeBron or KD hurt player empowerment. I do think, as we joked before, that there are some players who think they're on the same level as KD and LeBron. That maybe is another story. But I do think those that earn the right to move around as they desire should be able to do so at least somewhat. The contract should be honored a little bit, of course, and we see guys always signed and then demand to trade a year later and things like that, and that's where things kind of get a little bit tricky. But when you see moments where KD as a free agent joins the Warriors, or LeBron's a free agent joins the Lakers, those moves further on the court, yes, are trump cards and surely criticized, but they should be allowed to make that move. So I'm all for how they maneuver.
That was going to be my kind of addendum to my point, which was that they were well within both of their rights, to choose wherever they wanted to go as free agents. I think more of the issue now. So I guess my answer would kind of be no, actually, as far as it hurting the league as a whole. But I think it hurt in the sense that other players, like you mentioned, feel that they're maybe on a similar level and are within their right to demand out after signing these long-term contracts for deals with a team, like a James Harden, who has pushed for a trade in the last 3 or 4 seasons now. I think it's hurt more so in that sense of player empowerment, of the line kind of being blurred between player empowerment and honoring your contract and being a professional and that kind of thing has been blurred for some stars who maybe don't even have the gravitas or have earned their keep in the league to that point yet. So yeah,
sure. So yeah, we'll see what next steps come in that. We did in this discuss mainly on the court, off the court, as well as players, seeing what LeBron has built up with Clutch Sports and Rich Paul there, seeing what KD's doing on the media side as well with the boardroom, with the Etc.'s podcast. There are many other players who are doing the same thing, and them being able to control their narratives in some way definitely is a beautiful thing. Yes, the media will still play its part. Some guys will still try to paint what they want to paint, but KD being able to get in front of the mic and say what he wants to say as well is a great thing that I'm glad that more players are actually doing. So yeah, it's I appreciate the lanes that they're opening up for their peers there. So yeah, definitely good stuff there to keep looking at in regards to KD and LeBron. Going back to the court, talking about that opening week game that we discussed about the Lakers and the Suns. Oh, excuse me, wrong picture. With the Lakers and the Suns, excuse me, there we go. Who do you think has a better team in that matchup? You think KD is the better team this year, or do you think LeBron's the better team?
I think the Lakers have the better team.
The big three I think the Suns. Right now?
That's what I was going to say. I think the Suns have the more high-end talent at the top, but I think the Lakers have better depth, and they have chemistry already with the depth. So I think right now they're definitely the better team. Maybe by the end of the regular season, may be able to say that the Suns are a better collective team because they have the talent and have able to mesh the veteran minimum guys along that roster with their top end talent. But I think the Lakers have better depth, better chemistry. They still have 2 top 15 guys on their roster. They have good coaching. They have guys that are gonna be like in their natural positions as well too. Like the Suns are gonna have to rely on Devin Booker to be more of a facilitator, more of a point guard. Probably some of that from Bradley Beal as well too. So they're gonna be guys that are kind of playing out of position. That not to say it won't work, but it'll be probably a more natural fit for some of these Lakers guys. So I think right now they're a better constructed team. But to the Suns' credit, like they did the best they could with the limited amount of resources they had after bringing in Bradley Beal to fill out the roster with guys that can potentially make an impact. But I'm going with the Lakers.
I definitely hear that and see what is on the way with the Lakers, and I definitely do enjoy this team and think that in the end we may, as you point out, I believe have a better result. But I do think the Suns right now actually, I actually am going with I guess a top heavy roster there, seeing what well they put together. Though there are that depth maybe in question, are some guys that are gonna have to really step up and earn their keep. Bull's a guy everybody got excited about, but he hasn't quite panned out just yet. But if they can make some of them, it'll definitely be a great thing. But being able to keep DeAndre Ayton in that as well, alongside KD and those guys, I think will make for a great lineup. Who I think, I guess in regards to record, I think the Suns actually could win more games this year than the Lakers do. So definitely going to be an interesting thing to see how that plays out. Also with the Suns, they just added Frank Vogel, and though we were big fans of Monty Williams and wish that would work out for them, they moved on from him, and Frank Vogel is a very viable replacement, and we saw what he did here in LA. So I think Frank Vogel being able to put some great things there together in Phoenix, I think will do great for them as well. So looking forward to all of that. I ain't mad at whichever way it leans. I'm a fan of KD, fan of LeBron, or fan of Lakers at least. I ain't fully saying LeBron thing, excuse me. But fan of what's going on here, and we'll be tuned in and looking forward to that opening week matchup. So yeah, definitely a lot of great stuff on the way. One more thing in regards to the schedule, looking at the Lakers individually, I talked about who may win more games. With the schedule coming out, there are already people putting out the bets and all kinds of stuff. The Lakers are already booked I have them set at 46.5 wins. We won't have the full schedule in front of us, of course, but just hearing that number, you think that's a good mark for the Lakers this year?
I think that is a good mark. I think it's going to be a very competitive West. So 50 wins might be tough. I believe they were at like 43 last year.
Yeah, that was with a rough start.
Very rough start, yeah. And they turned it around after the trade deadline. So I think it'll be a smoother start to the season and a competitive one. So 46.5, I think, is a really solid number. And I could see them being right around it, like being right around 47, 48, somewhere between 46 and 50. So, yeah, I think that's fair.
With that, you said something early on in the offseason when we were discussing the Lakers. Do you still believe that will get them a top 5 seed in the West?
Yeah, I said top 4 actually, and
top 4.
I do believe they'll be a top 4. Like I said, I see potentially the Suns, potentially the Nuggets, and healthy Clippers in those like 3 spots. The Lakers could be in one of those.
Oh, no Kings in there again?
I don't see the Kings. Not to say that they're going to completely drop out and not be a playoff team or anything. I think they're still going to be good. But I do think they're not going to catch anybody off guard this year either. So
they need to?
What do you say?
Not to stay here too long, but do they need to catch people off guard?
No, but the point is that they did catch people off guard like to start the season and got rolling, but I think everyone is like they're gonna get their due amount of respect like going into games after being a top 3 seed last year. So and like I said, I think it's gonna be a very competitive West. So not like they're gonna be several games behind them, but they just might be a couple spots lower than they were last year. But yeah, I do believe that the Lakers are a top 4 seed. Obviously, this is all with health. You know, you get AD out a whole lot of games, this changes. You get LeBron out a whole lot of games, this changes. But healthy squads, I do see them as a top 4 seed still. Yep.
Got it. I see them right around there. I can see, 4, 5, 6, right in that range. Again, I think the Kings will put a valiant effort. The Clippers may take things seriously, and they find some way to get up there. There's going to be a very solid 5-6 teams this year, and they will definitely be in that mix. So we'll stay tuned for it all, and looking forward to see how that plays out. All right, so that is it for the one side of LA and what's going on in crypto. Other side of crypto, what's going on with the Clippers a little bit. They also set at 46.5 wins. What do you think about them getting to that mark, or do you think they'll be under it with their history of injuries and shortcomings and things?
Yeah, I mean, like I just said with your question to the Lakers, I think I have the Clippers as a top 4 seed as long as they remain healthy, and even with I think one of them being out, like even if Kawhi or PG does suffer with injury concerns, I think having Russ and that stability of you're going to get like 81 games out of him, like he's going to play most of the season.
Right.
You're going to get that consistency and what he brings to the group. I think that's going to help stabilize them because they've already they learned how to play well without their stars too. They just you need star talent to be able to win games and win at a high level in this league.
Of course.
So they're going to need at least one of those guys to be top 4. Both of them, I think they're definitely top 4. But if it ends up being just Russ and PG or just Russ and Kawhi, I think they can still make a push for a top 4 seed in the West. Yeah.
Yeah, I just mentioned that as well. That I do see them up there alongside the Lakers and others as a top tier team potentially, and do like the trio along with the depth that they established as well over there with the Clippers. So it could work out. It's always could. They're always the woulda, coulda, shoulda squad, the if squad. I always say. So we'll see how it plays. But this seems like it could be a year where it actually comes to fruition, at least a little bit. Better than before. So
beyond those 3 in the picture, I think it was a good move. Bringing back Russ and bringing back Plumlee, who both wanted to be there, took less money to be there because they enjoyed their tenure post trade deadline, and believe they can help them win a title. I like bringing in KJ Martin as well. I think he's going to be a key young piece that can be a budding, really good NBA role player for them. And I think it's going to be helpful for him having those 2 vets in his locker room because he's coming from an AAU style of play in Houston. So I think that's going to be helpful. I think Terrence Mann is going to have a solid year as well. So I think they have pieces down this roster. They still got Ty Lue there coaching, which is always a plus. That's a top 5 coach in the league to me as well. Correct. So I think they're poised for a really solid season. 46.5 is a good number for them as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully, to something we talked about before, it leads to a battle of LA. We get a Lakers Clippers playoff series there, some kind of way. And definitely we'll be tuned in for it all. So good things on that in regards to right now in the season coming up. Something that else is going on with more currently is what's going on in Philly with James Harden, who has been eyeing the Clippers' potential trade target and all that's going on. And you look at the Sixers and what's been going on there. It's been just years and years of turmoil. They've had the process there that they've been trying to figure out. And they had a peak where it almost worked out. What was that? 2019 it was. Jimmy Butler was there. Ben Simmons was there and he hadn't quite caught the yips or whatever that was just yet. There were a lot of things clicking for them. And they ran into that Toronto squad with Kawhi there. And we saw how that played in that Eastern Conference semifinal where Kawhi hit that legendary buzzer beater to get them over the top, to send them to the conference finals and then on to the NBA finals there, which they would win, beating the Warriors. It seemed like, as we now look back 4 or 5 years now from that moment, that potentially that shot is the shot that killed the process for the Sixers. Since then, we've seen that Ben Simmons has fallen apart and no longer is there. Jimmy Butler's out of the equation there. A lot of the process that he put together, which could have had its peak during that playoff run, fell apart once that shot clinked and fell into the basket as it did from Kawhi Leonard there. So do you agree that Kawhi, in a way, killed the process in Philly?
It's a fun question. I mean, that moment it clearly broke Joel Embiid. I remember that clip of him crying in the locker room
Anthem is
hallway,
crying. Yeah,
on the way back to the locker room after that crushing defeat. Um, I will say though, I don't think it was Kawhi that fully ended or broke the process because Philly still had a chance to be in a position to win a finals a couple seasons now in a row. Like
sure.
they had that series against Atlanta where Embiid was like great through the first 3 quarters of games, but kind of shrunk in fourth quarters. They had the infamous Ben Simmons where he instead of going up for the dunk, like passed it off to Thibault or whatever.
Yeah.
In that same Atlanta series, that's a series they should have won. And advanced at least to the conference finals. And then the series just last year with Harden, where he did have 2 masterclass games, 2 40-point games, and then he had disappearing acts, namely in Game 7, where again they should have beat Boston, they should have advanced.
Truly.
So I can't say it was Kawhi. Kawhi definitely he ended the Jimmy Butler era, which maybe if Philadelphia goes back in time, they'd like to have Jimmy Butler and not Tobias Harris. Tobias over me.
Your guy, Tobias. Yeah.
Stop hitting Tobias on me.
I'm forever pitting him on you. No. That's forever. You're stuck with that one.
Yeah, if they go back in time, they might want to redo that decision. But I can't say that it was Kawhi because Philadelphia's had ample opportunity to get to the top of the mountaintop. So Kawhi definitely he stole their heart in 2019, but they've had ample opportunity to
they have had ample, but again, looking at that moment, that was the one where the process seemed most complete. You had the guys that you drafted a part of that process still on the roster, making great leaps. It appeared you had now the added star into the mix that helped get them over the top potentially with Jimmy Butler there, and it seemed like all the pieces were in place properly to make that jump as they needed to. But Kawhi came in as a force and blew up what they were hoping for. So I still look at that as the biggest domino to fall in the equation. Though I do see afterwards what all transpired and how other things definitely played their part. But it'll be crazy how that played. And then as we joke about now, it comes full circle with James Harden trying to get to LA to play alongside Kawhi and PG and them. On the Clippers there. So, Joel just can't get away from Kawhi, it seems, and it's hard times in Philly right now. He had removed Philly from his bio, which is now a major thing, and took out all, besides the process that's his name up there, took out all the Sixers things that he had alluded to, his bio. So, you think we're getting a trade from Joel in the next year or two? What's the deal with Joel in Philly? Is the process over?
I don't know if the process is over. If they make a Harden trade, I think the return would have to be pretty solid for Harden. I don't know that you're getting necessarily a immediate superstar player. So if the return for Harden is future picks and that kind of thing, then that you're leaning towards probably some last days in Philadelphia for Embiid. But if they're able to get a star in return, I think there's still a possibility for him to stay in Philadelphia for some more years. They do still have Tobias, but they do still have Tyrese Maxey, who's a budding young player and a really solid player. And so I think if you were able to add another either lead guard or another wing there that can make a immediate impact, then you can get Joel to stay in Philadelphia. But it kind of depends on what they can get for James Harden, because it does seem like James Harden will not be on the roster after his comments about Daryl Morey in the last couple of days. So
he said he won't play for Morey anymore, but we've seen guys make claims like that before and still end up shaking hands again. We talked about LeBron and before and how his player empowerment moves he made. It didn't seem like he would ever play for the Cavs again once he left, after what went on with him and Dan Gilbert, I believe it was, but they found a way to mend it. So with Morey being such an advocate for Harden, I'm sure they could work it out in some way and end up back on the court potentially, at least for a period.
very confusing to hear that statement from Harden in China
Yeah.
that Daryl Morey is a liar and I will never play for an organization connected to him again or whatever he said. Because I mean, like he literally made the trade for a Harden like in Philadelphia. Like he played with under him in Houston and then he brought him to Philadelphia too. To like so like there's clearly been a good relationship there. But I mean, we talked about the player empowerment stuff and how Harden has been a bit indecisive in the last few years. So who knows all the behind the scenes, what he feels he was lied to about. But it doesn't sound like Harden's going to be on the roster. You talked about the fat suit in previous episodes. It sounds like the fat suit is coming for sure. So
we shall see, but definitely interesting things. We'll definitely be tuned into the Sixers this year for sure, and looking forward to all us on the way there. So interesting things there, fun stuff across the league to tune into. And another fun thing in the league, back to the schedule, they announced the NBA in-season tournament is going to be a new thing this year with multiple groups that are playing as seasons underway. There won't be additional games; they'll be a part of the regular schedule, but will count as tournament games, which will lead to a tournament championship game as the season goes on. Let me pull up the proper schedule so I get this right. The play-in begins on the 3rd. Group play will start on the 28th. Quarterfinals December 4th. Semifinals on the 7th. And the championship game will be December 9th. So a lot of fun stuff to tune in with that. The groups are as displayed here. In the West, we have the Grizzlies, the Suns, the Lakers, the Jazz, and the Blazers in the West A group. In the B group, they have the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Pelicans, the Mavericks, and the Rockets. And in the West C group, I don't know why we're in the C group, but whatever. The Kings, the Warriors.
I don't think the letters matter.
It don't matter. I'm just just jokes off. The Thunder and the Spurs for the C group there. And in the East, they have the Sixers, the Cavs, the Hawks, the Pacers, and the Pistons in the group. They have the Bucks, Knicks, Heat, Wizards, and Hornets in the group. And then the final group is the Celtics, the Nets, the Raptors, and the Bulls, and the Magic there. So a lot of entertaining things to tune into there. I guess who you think will be the best group or the toughest group of these displayed here this season?
Yeah. For the West, I think West A is really tough. I'm curious what Portland is going to look like this season, like whether a trade gets made with Dame. But I think Lakers, Suns, and Grizzlies once they get Ja back. I don't know what the date is that they get Ja back as well too, because
25 games.
25 games for Ja. So
I'm sure that's right after this. Probably it's going to be
maybe. But I still think the Grizzlies are going to be pretty competitive, even without. I mean, we've seen them be competitive without Ja the past couple of seasons. And the couple guys they brought in are going to be good. So West A and West B. I mean, the West in general is tough. So like, I think all of the West groups are going to be tough. But just because I think the Lakers and Suns are like top 4 teams potentially, I'll say West A, but West B is right there too. And West C has some sneaky teams as far as OKC potentially with all their young guys could maybe make some noise. And then in the East, probably East B. East B. Between the Bucks and the Heat, and then I think the Knicks are still going to be solid. They got 2 duds at the bottom, but I think between those top 3 teams, East B is probably the toughest one.
I say West B. I think West A. In the context of that moment will be a little bit top heavy. I think it'll be the Lakers and Suns going 9, and the other 3 will just be trying to fight for third in a way. But for the West B, I can see a few dog fights. So the Nuggets are the defending champs right now. The Pelicans with early on the season, with Zion.
I don't know what Zion's focus is going to be on.
True. We haven't got any more news in that regard, so it seems like he's focused just back on basketball. So with that being the case, and if he's playing as I believe they said he will be, that should be competitive alongside the Clippers who we just talked about. The Mavericks with Kyrie still in the building should be interesting to see how they play out. And the Rockets, who have revamped their squad there with some vets, definitely will be a team to watch. So
Luka and Kyrie too.
Yeah, good stuff there on the web. I think it goes. It might honestly even go to your point. It might even go BCA. I think A is a 1-2 punch. I think B and C will be very competitive though. I think on the East side, I think you said B as well for that one.
I said B for East.
I agreed there. The East got some revamping to do. They were the tough squad, the tough conference for a minute. Then everybody went back west. So interesting to see how they're going to put things together. A lot of teams in midst of rebuilds over there. So we'll see how that works out. But definitely going to be tuned into it. Well, kind of. Next question I actually had was they implemented this as a way to keep fans engaged, as a way to keep players pushing for, I guess, to be more active throughout the season and things, and to just keep the hype going from start to finish of this season beyond what we already have here. The question now is, do we actually care? Will fans, will players, will the media, will they actually put any merit to whoever wins this tournament?
I think we as fans will definitely care if the players do. So it's a matter of like if the players are going to care about it. I think they will, because it's within the NBA schedule. Like, it's not this additional tournament that has nothing to do with the ultimate goal of the championship. Like, you still want to win these NBA games. There's only one additional game, and that's the championship of this tournament.
But
it's built in.
As you talk about when I say the Kings win the Summer League tournament, or if the Kings win the in-season tournament, are they going to be like, oh, whatever, it's the in-season tournament, or are they going to say, oh no, they actually won that, they deserve some praise?
I think it will be used like as a argument chip or whatever, as far as guys' legacies and stuff. Eventually, like, people like to add things like to the resume like that when they're debating and splitting hairs between greats and that kind of thing. So like, I think it will be something that's talked about, but again, like, I think it has to depend on how much the players like care about it. If they're really gunning for the in-season tournament chip, then like fans are going to care about their team winning the in-season tournament chip. And of course, like, there's the monetary bonus, so that should help somewhat for some guys as far as incentivizing them to want to care about it. But yeah, just finishing my original point, I think because it's built into the schedule and the West is going to be so tough specifically, I think teams are going to be like focused on winning these games. Like, it's not like you have to get up for this exhibition game that's like not going to count towards your record. Like, these games are all going to count.
Right.
So I think they will be competitive games, and I think it was smart for the league to have it like, I think it's on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Something like that.
Knowing like that the NFL schedule is like Monday, Thursday, Sunday, kind of avoiding those days, and having like, you have the TNT on Tuesday nights, and then so that like that'll be great for it, and then on Fridays, which is a more open slot. So I think it's well thought out. We had our questions about like the play-in tournament and that kind of thing, and I think it's worked out beautifully. So I got trust in Adam Silver and the NBA to put together a good product with this.
Got it. Yeah, I'll be tuned in and excited to see how it plays out. I will give it it's a merit to your point if the players also care. I can see it getting the Disney treatment as we have, I guess, suffered from from a few years ago. So yeah, we'll see if fans actually care for it. I think it may actually even go like that. If any of the team but the Lakers win, they'll give them praise. But if the Lakers win, it's gonna be like, no, whatever, y'all, we don't care.
Of course,
that's the nature of where we are. So it is what it is. But
it's gonna be the new Mickey Mouse ring or whatever if the Lakers win it.
Yeah. Same kind of thing. In-season tournament ring, we don't care about that. So same kind of thing there. But we'll be tuned in. I guess for the fun of it, a last question: do you have an early winner of the in-season tournament? Like, if you ever throw out a pick, who would you say could potentially get that?
I mean, it's got to be teams that are like straight out the gate gunning for it early. So teams like Milwaukee, Denver, other teams that like get off to hot starts. Maybe Boston. Golden State, but I think it's gonna be an interesting look what they got. Sacramento may be interesting. But yeah, those teams that are some teams, have those veteran guys like the Lakers at times that like try to coast a bit. Like they're not gunning for the 1 seed. But I think those teams that are seeking to grind immediately out the gate probably have like some of the edge there. So
I can see a bit of that. Also, I think for sure, as I kind of already alluded to, with how stacked the West is, I think the West, I can see a few teams here that can win the actual NBA title at the end of the year. So I think one of these East teams might get the NCAA tournament early on just to have some kind of claim. So the Bucks might steal it. The Celtics might steal it. The Knicks maybe might put a valiant effort together some kind of way. Or if the Sixers have their pieces there, it's possible with them too. But yeah, I think an East team will find some kind of way early on to at least get a claim on that, because I think the West will dominate the All-Star game when it's West versus East. I believe it is. I think if they're going back to that, I think the West will win the finals when it gets to that too. So this will be their one time to shine. So looking forward to how that plays out, and excited for it all. So good stuff there. As you alluded to, this is a way to help get more odds on the NBA early on in the season with football going on and all of that. And to that kind of thing, I wanted to bring up just the national televised games. Last year, we always see that the Lakers get a whole bunch of games. We see that the Warriors get plenty of games. This year, I think this is the list from last year. So last year, the Warriors had 24 games. The Celtics had 23. Lakers had 23. And a few others you see there notably. A few teams at the bottom. The Spurs had 4, who surely will jump up this year. The Thunder should get a few games there. We'll discuss that a little bit. Also wanted to point out this year already announced the Kings will have 6 games on TV, 5 on ESPN, and another 11 on NBA TV. So salute to them for having the beam get more of a spotlight. So good stuff. But back to that list, what teams beyond the obvious deserve national attention this year?
Can you go back to that the previous screen you had?
This is last year's list, just to reiterate. But
right.
For a premise at least.
Yeah, just some teams that were near the bottom that maybe should get more. I agree with you. The Thunder will be very interesting with that young core. The Spurs, as you said,
Shea has been stamped as a superstar by pretty much everybody at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he was first team All NBA, correct?
Even if it's premature, whatever. So I think they will make sure that a guy like him will get a spotlight. Chet's back in the fold. And they just got, who else did they just get? My apologies. They just got somebody else too.
Draft picks?
Or maybe not.
But I'm blanking. They did draft a couple guys. I'm blanking.
I think it was Chet. Jalen Williams, both of them are rising guys.
Both Jalen Williams, Chet,
Giddey. Excuse me. Yeah. So guys like that are in the building. So they have a little bit of name pull recognition to that fans can attribute. So yeah, Thunder for sure. I should have more than 3 national TV games there.
Kings, as you said, they're gonna have 11 or whatever. Yeah. So I think them going up makes sense. The Kings Warriors was, I think we agreed, was the best or most exciting series for us last playoffs. I think that's it as far as like the bottom of the barrel teams that should get more shine. Because some of them got to prove it to me. Some of them potentially can make improvements. Like
we talked about it a few times now. You think Houston just now, the Rockets, they should get more.
I'm saying like they got to prove it to me. I don't think if I was the league, I wouldn't immediately be putting them more in marquee matchups, like on nationally televised games.
Well, for example, just a point. Who should have more national TV games, the Rockets or the Bulls? I'd say the Rockets.
Probably about the same. I think the Rockets may be more intriguing.
Sure.
But probably about the same.
That was the point, though. So, and looking at it that way, I do think they have room to bump up a little bit. They can maybe sneak in one TNT game somewhere in there versus one of them top teams, of course.
And the Nets are probably coming down. Oh, Nets are probably coming down, and the Grizzlies.
Down. Yeah.
But most of them at the top, I think, will stay at the top, though.
With the Grizzlies, you don't think they try to highlight Ja's return when he does get back? It might not be 19 again, but will it be 15 with a bunch at the back end of the season after his first 25 games?
Do you think they want to highlight him? I don't know that they want to highlight him.
That's what I'm asking you.
Oh, I thought you were more of the thought that they would want to highlight.
No, I'm asking you. I don't think so. Do they want to highlight him? He was a guy that's supposed to be the face of the league.
I don't think they want to highlight him. I think it will be discussed, obviously, when it's his first game back. I think that will be a a media point for sure.
They don't want to make a redemption story because you also got Triple J over there too, who's supposed to be the Defensive Player of the Year. So you got pieces beyond Ja to give you an attraction.
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways to spin it. Like you could spin it for the redemption arc for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess kind of will depend too, like how they're playing without him.
Right.
Like because if they're kind of in middle of the road and they have a chance to make a jump, maybe they will want to do like the kind of the positive spin and more media attention. But I think they'll probably want to keep it more under the radar than they will want to broadcast it. Yeah.
Okay. A fun one, real quick. We don't got to deep dive all of it, but to the point I just made it about Defensive Player of the Year, Anthony Edwards just had a play today where he was in the USA basketball. They were having a practice, and he kind of dunked on Jaren Jackson Jr. and saying, "Ain't you Defensive Player of the Year? Like, what you doing? You got to jump with me. Like, what's the deal?" And to that point, should the Timberwolves, with Anthony Edwards being a blossoming star, should they have more than 12 games, or do you think 12 of the games is a good number for that squad?
Middle of the pack is a sweet spot. I think double-digit games is good. Yeah, and I think they can be a surprising team for some, and I think they could be a good squad this year. So yeah, I think that makes sense.
So yeah, definitely a lot of good stuff here. We could deep dive more if we wanted to, but I think we hit all the main teams that deserve some shine there. 23 games for the Lakers, is that low for us? Or you think we should jump up from there with all the attention we get?
Is that low? Non-Lakers fans would cuss you out for saying is that low for them.
I'm just asking. But
no, I don't think it's low. I think that's about right. Yeah.
Got it. Chuck's gonna have a fit if it's any higher than that. So looking forward to it all. We'll definitely be tuned in to a lot of this as it goes on. That's really it for all the current events with our topics here. We hit the LA things in regards to Lakers and the Clippers. We'll talk a little bit about the schedule and the tournament and all that's going on there. The last thing I wanted to end on was we just passed the Hall of Fame inductions this year, and our Lakers guy Pau Gasol got in. Definitely a guy that deserved to make it. Salute to him for doing so. Gave a great speech on honoring Kobe and others that helped him get to where he is now. And just wanted to give a moment to praise him for making it there. Will you get any thoughts on Pau getting to the Hall of Fame?
I thought it was well deserved. Happy to see it. Obviously sad that Kobe couldn't be there, and because that was something that he championed as well, as far as Pau getting his jersey retired and Pau getting into the Hall of Fame. So, but it was a cool moment to have Vanessa there, and as you said, he acknowledged Kobe for helping him on that journey to becoming his best version of himself as a player and as a person. So that was really cool, and just seeing this era of guys that we grew up watching as well kind of get into the Hall of Fame is cool. Also makes you feel like a little bit older, just seeing some of them getting old and gray and getting inducted.
Speak for yourself, pal. Don't age me.
Oh, okay. All right. No, it's crazy when these rookies are like 19 years old. It's crazy. It's weird thinking about it. Like, man,
you sound like a real old head right now.
How?
when these kids were 19, bro, I was like, a few years ago still.
Bro, you don't think about that? Like, as a 26-year-old, when these guys are 19 in the league, like, damn.
No.
But I think it was cool to see him alongside Dirk and those San Antonio guys, Tony Parker and Greg Popovich.
Yeah, right.
It was cool to see those guys have their moment, and they were all well deserved getting into the Hall.
My only wish for Pau, if it was possible, he had just grown the hair out one more time for us and brought the curls back, the 09 curls some kind of way.
Now we're good. We're good. Good on that.
No, you don't want to see Pau got the curls one more time.
I think it's a solid look he's got going now. I didn't need to bring back the curls.
All right, so be it. But definitely was a great moment having him here on the Lakers. This 09 squad. Sorry to cut off Morrison up there. This 09 squad definitely was iconic for us, and it seemed that we will forever revere. Kobe in the middle there definitely led the way and gave us some iconic moments. And I guess the question with that is, we just saw Pau get in. Are there any other 2000s Lakers, 2010s Lakers even that should be entering their name into the Hall anytime soon?
Yeah, no 2000s guys that I could come up with, but 2010s, I do think like Rondo is kind of a borderline one that a lot of people feel that he should, and I think so too. Go for it.
There are a couple of guys that are Lakers but aren't Lakers. Like Rondo, yes, is a Laker, but played a lot of his career elsewhere. Carmelo played much of his career elsewhere. Like, yes, those guys I think will get in. But I was thinking guys that had, I guess, long tenures here beyond the, I guess, the obvious names there. But Rondo, I can see getting in at some point.
No, like the long tenured ones, no, there really isn't anyone that I could see getting in the Hall. Like they could be in the Lakers Hall of Fame for sure. Like Derek Fisher and Odom could probably be in the Lakers Hall of Fame. But as far as the Basketball Hall of Fame, I don't think so. But yeah, like you said, like there's obvious guys like you said, the Carmelos, Dwights, Ron AD, of course.
Right.
But yeah, I think Rondo's like a kind of borderline one that I think should get in. And I feel like there was maybe one more, but I think that's about it. I mean, Chris Paul was a Laker for 30 minutes, so if that counts, Chris Paul is gonna get in. But no, I think that's about it. Other guys have gotten in the past already, like Steve Nash and that kind of thing. But yeah.
Good stuff there. We'll stay tuned and see if there's any way for it. A point that has been made a few times recently. Someone we point to a couple of times, Gilbert Arenas, amongst others, have pointed out that the Hall has gotten real loose now, like with how many guys that they have let in. And there's guys who were role players and six men now, and players that were college players, whoever. The Basketball Hall of Fame, because it is the Basketball Hall of Fame, has gotten loose, got a little bit too loose, and having guys that were maybe I don't
know if I agree with him on that it's gotten too loose. Like I don't feel like there's been guys that I've been like vehemently against like getting in the Hall recently. I know there's guys that are like
I don't fully want to name names, but there was a moment I believe recently where a guy like even like I think Tim Hardaway got in, and folks were like Tim Hardaway like
senior,
right?
Senior, like that makes.
Not to hate on him, he got in, respect to him. I'm just saying, just in regards to reaction, folks had a little bit to say, just to give a name, I guess.
I mean, I guess that's a more questionable one, but I'm just like, I don't think there's been a whole lot. I think there were guys on this upcoming list that are like more questionable and probably shouldn't, like guys that are like Hall of Very Good.
Sure.
Like Jamal Crawford on there. I don't know that he's necessarily a Hall of Famer, like Hall of Fame six man, but I don't know that he's necessarily a Hall of Fame material. But I think for the most part, the guys that are in there are deserving of it. Like maybe there are some other names that I'm not thinking of, like Tim Hardaway, that were kind of more controversial, but I can't off the top of my head think of too many.
The point that a few folks have made, Dion made the same point in regards to the NFL, that the true superstars should be the only ones that really get in. And Gilbert Arenas' point was that like if you weren't a 1A or a 1B for your team throughout most of your career, you shouldn't make the Hall. Like I guess he's saying. So you have guys who are role players and others who kind of find their way in because they had a nice stretch in their career. It makes the Hall seem a little bit wired down. So there could be an overhaul a little bit, which is up for debate. But as you pointed out, I'm fine with how the Hall is operated so far. If they want to have their own rooms, I haven't been to the Hall of Fame yet, but they have their own rooms where you have Magic and Kareem and MJ and Kobe all in one room, and then the other guys in their own other room, sure. But I think just for the Hall, for what it is in full, that they've been operating in the right way. So looking forward, cool with how they're doing it. Looking forward to see what the next crop of guys are going to be for this next era of people getting in. The last thing I'll point out with this is The Athletic had an article or an IG post talking about guys that are going to be the next guys in the league. They have their active locks. Yeah, right. There you have active locks. Giants is already on there. Steph, AD, KD, Joel Embiid already is a lock in their eyes. Draymond, Harden, Dwight, LeBron, Jokic, Kawhi, Damian Lillard, Chris Paul, Klay Thompson, and Russell Westbrook are the locks there. For their near locks, they have Jimmy Butler, DeMar DeRozan, Luka already is a near lock for them. Paul George, Rudy Gobert, and Kyrie Irving.
Hey man, one of those names is not like the other.
All right, let's stay right there. Who's the odd man now? I don't know who it is.
Come
I
on,
think I know
man.
who it is.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
That's the point he's saying.
I think
that's the point they're making. Like some of these guys are going to get in there aren't exactly of the same cloth.
I forget who like for sure was on the top 75. Like I believe Kyrie was on there. I don't remember if like the Jimmy Butler, DeMar DeRozan, Luka Doncic, but those are guys like when it's all said and done, I think are like top 75 players. Gobert is not close to that list for me. Like he's got the and no, dude, please don't cape for Rudy Gobert right now. He's got the defensive player of the years. He's got that. But that's his stamp for the Hall of Fame. Like that's his argument for the Hall of Fame. Being a elite rim protector. Is that all it takes?
To the point we just made, to the point we just for one, it's
he hasn't won anything. He hasn't won anything.
To the point
near lock.
Near lock. It's near lock for one, and for two, as we just said, the with the Hall being as lenient as it's become and laying guys in on for various reasons. The fact that really has three, you're making me have to cape Rudy Gobert. Like, I don't want to.
Don't do it. Don't do it. You don't need to.
Then fine, I'll leave that be. Interesting enough, I hate to do this as well. The other name to me that's not quite like the others, and I hate to do it because he's a hometown product and he's a SC guy. What has? I don't want to do this, man. I don't want to do this. I mean, you see where we at. We even at the house and all that.
I think if you go to the next slide, like DeMar would probably be on the next slide.
All right, so I'm not even going to ask the question. I'm just going to leave it there. He's a near lock. I'm going to just leave it at that. Salute to them. I'm going to leave it there. Moving on to active and on track. Bam is on there. Devin Booker is on track. Shai Alexander's on track. Jaren Jackson Jr. is on track. Donovan Mitchell, John Morant, Cat is there, as well as Trae Young. And then I think the last one.
No. Absolutely nuts.
Stop. I jumped too quick. Hold on. Active and in the mix. Interesting that they have Jason Tatum on this list.
That's what I'm saying is absolutely nuts. Tatum is active in the mix, but Gobert is near lock. What are we talking about? What?
All right. You got a point. You're right.
Oh my god!
Yeah. They got Jason Tatum with Iguodala, Kevin Love, and Kyle Lowry. That's nasty.
Come on, dude. Like none of those guys have ever been as good as Tatum is right now.
I was trying to like be understanding, but nah, this is a little bit nuts. And then the next one for active could see it happening. Bradley Beal, Blake Griffin, Al Horford, Rondo. And those, as you just said, Rondo's a bit of a lock.
This is where Gobert should be.
Gobert should be more so here. Beal should be bumped up. Well, actually, no. Beal's. I don't know. He's kind of in the middle there too. But yeah. They could have put these two lists together and then bumped up both of Rondo and Tatum into other lists. So the Athletic almost got me.
Most of it was okay, but it was just those couple. Like Gobert was way too high. Tatum was like very bewilderingly low, and then Rondo I think could be a little bit higher, just because he's got the two chips with two different teams. And
you said delete this for us too late. There's still time. You can go ahead and delete this.
I don't. Yeah, I'm like
a few of those are a little shaky there.
Maybe it was like made by an LA guy because you got Rondo in the last category, you got Tatum in the second to last category. Like maybe there's some anti-Boston bias.
The pictures from the Boston Herald, but no, the Athletic is out here, I believe, and I guess they favor.
And we didn't talk about the active on track one.
Oh. It seemed like you said you seem to agree. You just nod your head to all of it. So, anything you want to say with that, then?
For the most part, I do agree. Except Jaren Jackson, he shouldn't be here yet. Like I don't really think he should be on any of these. Maybe like could see it happening, like the last slide. But are we already looking at him as on track for the Hall of Fame because he got one Defensive Player of the Year?
I guess because of how, to your point a minute ago, because of how young he is and trajectory, he already has one of those. They very well
I guess maybe
more,
it's projecting 5 defensive player of the years for him or something, but
something like that. But they see him being accomplished. Yeah, he's on the USA team and stuff like that. So I guess they're on track. They're projecting for a bunch of these, obviously.
Him and the Grizzlies as a whole, like Ja Morant too. I understand it for Ja because he's a superstar already,
right?
But like the Grizzlies haven't accomplished really anything yet. So like him just getting one defensive player of the year and then being on track for the Hall of Fame doesn't really track for me.
Got
and
it.
then I was a little bit surprised by Karl Anthony Towns, but I will say like him being all-time big man shooter and being an all NBA level player already, I understand it. And Trae Young, I understand it too.
They wanted to find a way to throw all the star adjacent names on the list somehow. So they just put them on there and see where they could fit. And some of those are a little bit clickbaity as you are reacting. And I'm aligned with you now. But yeah, that clearly was their intention.
Nah, so Gobert on number 2 is like you thought we was finna agree? Like what are we doing here? Like what?
I tried for a second to be understanding, but nah, man, they tripping a little bit on that.
Look at the names he's with right there.
I hear you, man. I hear you. So yeah, they gotta fix that a little bit, or we'll make our own list so that's more proper to what's going on right now. Based on how NBA's treating them, Wemby's probably gonna be on this list shortly based on 2 games. Comes out with any good games, gonna be on that near lock already.
I was surprised they didn't sneak Zion on there.
Oh, that's a good name. So yeah, well, he hasn't played enough to do anything.
That's what I'm saying.
He's a lock for anything besides some. Never mind.
If this was the ESPN list, they might have snuck, or House of Highlights, they might have snuck Zion in there somehow.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, but that's it though. So interesting things there. Any other of the older? What do you guys think about this? Blake Griffin and Al Horford getting in there. I think you could say Al Horford, but Blake, you think can get in? With how I guess heralded he was for a while there as a top power forward in the league.
Yeah, I like them and could see it happening because it's definitely not a lock, but the longevity of Al Horford and the winning that he's had in his career between Atlanta and Boston, I could potentially see it. And then Blake Griffin, he had some superstar days for sure. They just couldn't put it together in LA. And I think the injuries towards the back half of his career have kind of derailed him, but he was one of the best players, one of the better power forwards in the league. So I could see it happening. So I like him here.
There's a guy who is out here in LA right now, a comedian. I believe he's actually from Philly. I might be wrong on that. My apologies if so. But he has a podcast called Music is the Love Language. He talks about music each week. And for a while over, I believe it was last summer, he did, my apologies, last summer, he did a segment where he did a music Hall of Fame, where he was inducting people each week into the Hall of Fame based on certain things. And one of his criteria was, can you tell the story of hip hop or of R&B?
That's something I think of too. Yeah,
without this person. And in that same way, applying this to here, can you tell the story of the NBA in the 2010s or 2000s without Blake Griffin or Al Horford?
I think you could tell it without Al Horford more than like Blake Griffin, because Blake Griffin, you have the dunk contest and all that. You have Lob City Clippers being a big story. The only reason I hesitated with Horford is because with the Atlanta Hawks, you do have that team that was like 5 All-Stars all from the same team. So it might be hard to say without Al Horford too. And he did make a finals with Boston now.
Can you tell without Bradley Beal?
I think you can tell it without Bradley Beal, to be honest. Okay. That's the one name there that's probably toughest for. He might be the best like individual offensive player on that list of 4, but I think you could probably tell it without him. You know?
I guess moving up, we don't get to go down the list, but just for some borderline games, for example, Kevin Love, it was a real good guy who was kind of the same lane as Blake Griffin, and got a ring on that Cleveland squad, which probably will get him in. Do you think he gets in there for sure?
He gets in there just off that possession guarding Steph at the end of the game 7 alone, probably. But his fat Kevin Love was nice too, though. So,
and then I guess back to our point, can you tell the story of the 2010s or the 2020s without mentioning Rudy Gobert? To your point,
can you tell the story? Probably not, because he started COVID.
He had some moments there.
Yeah, probably not.
One of the most infamous, now one of the biggest trades in NBA history.
I think like
all that.
The defensive player, like that is his calling card. Like that is the reason that why they snuck him into near locks, because he has the 3 defensive player of the years.
Sure.
So without that, hell no. But with that, like you probably have to mention him because of that run of the defensive player of the years that he won.
Got it.
But near lock is still crazy to me.
It's what it is, man. So we'll stay tuned to all of that. Salute to Clint Coley there. If I say his name there, but for how you put that together, big fan of his show and what he does, and like using it in this context as well. So yeah, a lot of good stuff there to pay attention to. Looking forward to all things going on in the NBA. We just talked about all the things going on in LA and beyond with the scheduling and all of that. And that really is it for me. I don't have anything else NBA wise to discuss. Anything else you want to throw in at the end real quick, Alec?
No, we covered a lot. So
yeah,
I think we're good.
Yeah, we talked about it all. Excited to see the schedule actually released, and we'll talk more about that as things are revealed. But for now, that is all. Again, appreciate your opportunities as you guys do. Make sure you like, review, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff for us. How we show love, we appreciate it all. We'll be back shortly to talk a little bit about NFL things. That is rolling now. Have a little more fancy talk to have with you guys. And excited to get to it all. MLB for sure we'll mention too. And yeah, good stuff here in LA and beyond to pay attention to. So good stuff. Shout out, I believe his name is Alex Figs on Twitter. The drought is over. That's where I got this shirt from. I saw him posted with I think it's Marcus Thornton on here.
It looks like Marcus Thornton, yeah.
Yeah. So the drought is over there. The 916 on there. Shout out Sacramento there. On the back it says, can you read it? I can't even see it. What does it say on the back?
Don't bother me. I'm watching the Kings.
Correct. We'll be tuned in again. Hopefully, to get a lot of national TV games so the world can see how great they become, and looking forward to that. So salute to him, and yeah, just a lot of good stuff here to pay attention to. So yeah, that is it for right now. We'll be back shortly. Appreciate y'all. Oh, RP to Alex Collins. I'll mention more so on the NFL episode.
Yeah.
We'll see y'all again real soon, man. Appreciate y'all. Peace.
Deuces. And Rudy can't even dribble, man. Jesus Christ.